Here we go. Welcome, you're listening to The Best of Investing on Talk 910, the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. We've got some really interesting articles to talk about today. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm proud to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing mortgage investment firm. And Mark's going to tell us later on of some of the awesome deals he's working on. And Rob Spinoza of RPM Mortgage, and he's going to talk about the awesome deals he's been working on. Okay, our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. Now, the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by a Lighthouse Resort and Marina, which is located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. And the vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. You can reach them at 916-777-5511, and they've got a website, lighthouseresortmarina.com. And today's trivia theme, everyone perks up on that, is astronomy. Astronomy.
Carl Sagan.
No. How many moons does the Earth have? 1. Okay, that's it. That's it for it. Okay.
Pluto's not a planet anymore.
I know that. Yeah. You know what? I think personally they just did that just to make be different.
Change the textbooks.
Yeah. That's it. The guy who writes the textbook says, "Change it, please. I need to get more publishing there." Mm-hmm. Okay. Our website's bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube, and also on television with Mr. Kramer here, broadcasting us on the channel Comcast channel 26. And AT&T channel 99 on Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 6 p.m. All right, Mark, you've got some very interesting statistics and an article.
Well, yeah, and being a real estate guy, I'm always on the hunt for something new and noteworthy in real estate. And over the last couple of months, we've just been talking about some of the more boring stuff in real estate. Prices are up, inventory's down. So what else is new? Are prices going to continue to rise through 2014? Are they going to go down in 2015, as some people are predicting, or a few people, I should say, because not a whole lot are. But here's an article I found that I thought was interesting. Is those millennials, those guys that are all working in tech now.
Those aren't Klingons. No, that's Star Trek. Okay, millennials.
The millennials, those are the 20 to 30-year-olds. And here was a survey that was done on the type. What are they looking for in a home? So you and I, Edward, we're in that baby boomer.
Speak for yourself.
Generation here. Well, we're the youngest.
The younger part of
the younger part of the curve, the end of the curve there of the baby boomers. I know what we tend to look at. There was the saying location, which oftentimes equated to a nice quiet neighborhood with a nice yard and close to schools. Schools being the big one. Well, millennials, for the most part, don't give a hoot about schools. They're not looking for that.
Some of them want to be near the Google Plus.
Yeah, but at my age, when I was first looking for a house, I was just looking for indoor plumbing. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, they're looking for that and more, because they're looking for more, it's functionality and lifestyle are more important to Gen Y than the size of the home or the actual property. So they're looking for things like a top-notch kitchen where they can entertain their guests in, and they're less likely to look for a large yard because they're busy. And they're too busy for a yard and too busy for fixer-uppers. They really want
a quick question about the schools part of it. I wonder how many are looking at private schools. And so it doesn't really matter as much.
I see that being a continued dilemma where you're looking at maybe buying a lesser house and putting the kids in private school, or buying a house in a nicer area and then putting them in the public schools. It seems to be the age-old thing. Yeah.
I think the schools are still important as they get older. So again, we're talking about Gen Y, which is 20 to 30. When you're in the 30 to 40 and you're starting to go, well, now it's time to have kids. I think still the location and the school areas. But just an interesting kind of a rundown. They're looking for homes with little or no work needed. Many of them don't have time to tackle a fixer. Again, they don't see a large yard as a plus. And really, they're looking at being closer to the social scene. They like public transportation, close to trendy shops, and closeness, proximity to work. Those are all things that.
Well, let me ask you then. What about condos? Then I would think you're kind of describing a condo type living that I would think would be going up.
I see a lot of that in the city, San Francisco, and Oakland even as well. I mean, condos in the Emeryville area, a lot of those areas where they've rebuilt, a lot of interest in that. And the thing I see too with buyers is that when you see them attempting to get into a fixer, that is the discussion I'll have with them, is let alone the financing component of it, trying to finance something that may require a lot of work. But a lot of these people don't have the time and energy to do it. So, that's the other consideration when you're buying a fixer.
Yep, absolutely. And then a different article from a different publication, which kind of dovetails a little bit. It's one thing to know the type of home that they want, but there's also, and this is something we talked about before, I'm looking at a chart here that shows how student debt has actually hampered first-time home buyers. So that same Gen Y millennials group, those that are buying, of course, are looking for the types of properties we just talked about.
And aren't they changing the interest rate too?
I'm not familiar with that. Yeah.
Yeah, the government just changed the interest rate, increasing it, of course.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's great. Let's help. We're the government. We're here to help. But interesting graph. I mean, they charted two, and of course you can't see this because it's radio. But the graph for both 25 to 29-year-olds and 30 to 34-year-olds. Now I don't know why they picked those separately, but they're both trending downward since peaking in 2004. So basically, it's been tracking downward and has not started to go up yet in this so-called recovery for that age range of 25 to, I guess, 34-year-olds, and they're saying that large part is due to growing student debt.
And turn that piece of paper around so Kramer can put it on TV.
Well, too, I would say that also coincides with the change in mortgage lending guidelines that happened around 2006, 2007, because you would not see reflected in those stats, my guess, or it would be very hard to separate in those stats the fact that some of those individuals, if they were saddled with that student loan debt then, 2004, 2005, they may have been able to find a loan product that would have enabled them to qualify with it anyway. Now, in the full doc environment with the CFPB requirements for debt to income, it becomes harder and harder to clear that hurdle when you pull a credit report and that student loan debt is staring you right in the face. There's no way around it.
Yeah, with all the tuition as high as it is, the student debt load.
Yes.
The interest rate, just the load is just too high.
And I think, a tougher job market has also been a component of that. So you have some people who have studied very diligently, they've graduated college, gone out and found no luck in the job market. What do? A lot of them go back to school and at an expense. So
just add to the debt. And when they come out, they got to start at $250,000 a year just to pay the
correct.
The interest.
You're not joking around. And it goes back to what Mark said
never
too.
Joke around.
If you come out of school and you're 24, you may not be interested in buying a house right away. Okay, I can rent a bit, my lifestyle's a little bit more low-key. But when you come out of school, quote-unquote out of school, and you're pushing 30 and you're thinking of starting a family, that's a different story. Now you're looking for a different property in a different area with different criteria, and you fall right into the crosshairs of this. That's
tell you what, we're going to cut to a first commercial break here. Again, the theme is astronomy. And when we come back, I want you to share an article about the CF.
Okay.
What's it?
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful. Okay, because that one's kind of interesting. Audience, you're going to want to stay tuned because you're not going to believe what is out there. Okay, here is the first astronomy question. What is the name of the hazy band of light that arcs across the clear night sky? The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. They also go by lighthouseresortandmarina.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What is the name of the hazy band of light that arcs across the clear night sky? All right?
Are you supposed to be, do you need to be on LSD in order to see
No, but it has to be a clear night, though.
Okay.
All right, make sure to include your name and your email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email one letter at a time. Make sure you stay tuned with us because Rob Spinoza is going to be discussing this very interesting article. Audience, you're not going to want to miss this.
Okay. Can you turn my headphones down a tad?
I know. I just realized
What's that?
the Lighthouse for Fun website is now
down?
they changed it back to Lighthouse Resort and Marina, even though it takes forever. But
Can you turn my headphones down a tad?
for hearing yourself.
Here for something,
Is that better?
Because you guys are really loud in my ear.
Quickly
Quick.
select.
We got the
Well,
secretary
that's
on.
it. She just puts stuff in front of me.
I do.
Goes, puts her hands in front of it too, in between. Boy, these are hot.
We're gonna make a star out of her.
Yeah. Hold on. If I don't do this part now, I ain't never gonna do it.
I was doing. I'll never
Okay,
forget the
hold
time
on.
I didn't know you guys were recording or something, and I'm standing in front of her, bending over, and Edward posts it somewhere.
That was great.
Oh Lord.
Oh, that one? Yeah, that was
And then
fun.
there was one that you were here and you said something, pick the camera up and said, we put that one on television because we knew you'd be happy.
Oh great.
It was great.
BOI, July
That was
4th,
good.
5th. Okay, segment. Boy, you know what? Hold on, folks. Don, can you stay with me 2 seconds
Yeah,
here?
I'm staying with you.
Let me just.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
This is June.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. It's funny because I think you're right. The mindset of the different generations have changed completely.
Well, it's like in the old days, kitchens were like nothing. They were really small. You know,
Well, and but
yeah.
most importantly, I think it really is. It's closer proximity to nightlife city.
Yeah.
The backyard is not nearly as important. I've got a quarter of an acre, and nobody wants to deal with that.
Yep. Oh, I see. I see which one's on top.
You always say
I
that.
always say that. Of course I do. I love this. The ones without backup too. Those are my favorite.
Well, come on, kid.
I know,
You're
okay.
just a knucklehead.
Make sure he pays this right away.
No, it's
Back
me.
to us.
Oh, he's already paid it. $350 2 months ago. So I double checked.
Really?
Yeah. So he's good.
Wow.
I know. Because that was when I was fighting with the other one, and I was just.
That's
scared.
great.
How are you getting your broadband on there?
It's just picking up a small cell signal.
Oh.
You're gonna love this article.
This
It's actually
is,
very
uh,
short.
Oh my
Why is
Employers.
Yeah.
That's our insurance for our workers'
I'll
comp.
leave it right here.
65
Change our
million
address.
more than
Here, baby.
But this,
No,
this
I actually enjoy that thing. That
This
was
is the
small.
kicker.
Oh,
Fed's
the
Inspector
bond.
General also noted that the CFP was
What's
unable
that?
to locate any documentation
Oh,
of the decision
no.
fully right. It was like, oh, we don't have the
Yeah, that
initial
was-
CFP.
Wasn't that the heated water heaters?
Yes.
and stuff? Damn,
Incredible.
$47. That's an outrage. Okay.
Okay.
You're all set. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
Mr. Climber?
Grandma,
I'm going to throw you off.
ready, Teddy.
Hey, Teddy. Here you go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hoff of Pacific Private Money and Rob Spinoza of RPM Mortgage. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this astronomy question. What is the name of the hazy band of light that arcs across the clear night sky?
Aurealis.
Aurora Borealis? No, it's the Milky Way.
Milky Way.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
not a
okay.
Snickers bar. It is the Milky Way.
He
Okay.
was going way too.
Yeah, you're going way too sophisticated.
All right.
Okay, Rob, we teased the audience. We said with an article, we said that it'll be unbelievable.
I
Go
saw
ahead.
this come across my email this morning, and I couldn't help but print it out. So, the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau,
Who are they again?
they are the
Enemy?
yeah. No, they are the bureau that has been basically created and appointed by the Dodd-Frank Wall Street and Financial Reform Bill to oversee the financial industry, more or less. Okay, so these guys have basically unchecked power. They were created by Congress, but they are not. And Representative Jeb Hensarling has been overly vocal, or not overly vocal, but very vocal about pointing out the fact that they are exempt from basically Congress's examination. But anyway,
Checks and balances.
yeah, exactly. So they've overrun their renovation costs for their headquarters to the tune of $65 million. Okay, that puts their cost per square foot of this
Wait, how much was it supposed to be?
it was supposed to be 120 million.
Okay, so a 50%
Yeah.
oops.
So what this is smacks of to me in the mortgage industry is, of course, the CFPB is looking at our good faith estimates, and they are requiring that there can be no changes in many of these fields. So if you have, for any reason, leaving out all, anything that would be done, unethically or anything like that, even in the best of situations and with the best of intentions, if you had a scenario where the price change, you could not go back to the borrower and accommodate that. So basically,
they exist to protect the taxpayer.
Yeah.
And what are they doing here?
They've landlocked our industry and made it so hard to get things done. All sorts of regulations, all sorts of time requirements. Lo and behold, you have them who they basically had an estimate and they overshot it by 65 million, and basically nothing happens as a result.
Now, they did it or the contractor, right? Because you said that they were
Well, that's what's interesting about this, because the Fed, it says here, the Fed's Inspector General also noted that the CFPB was unable to locate any documentation of the decision to fully renovate the building. So that'd be equivalent for me of not having produced a good faith estimate for the borrower. No,
but $600 a square foot to renovate a building. I mean, I work with rehabbers making loans here in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
and it's very rare that we're making loans based on more than $200 per square foot.
Well, it says here that Dubai, the equivalent, Dubai's Burj Khalifa would be 450 per square foot. That's the one that Tiger Woods hit the golf ball off of. I don't know if you remember that.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, what did they say? Like, what made it so expensive?
No, it doesn't say here what made it so expensive. Yeah, so it's really funny to read articles like this, and I do believe that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the intent at the end of the day to protect the consumer, I have no problem with any of that. I have a problem with the way they've done it, and when you have them exempt from their own rules, that's pretty tough to swallow. That, I mean, reading an article like this is, you can joke about it, but at the end of the day, they've made it very hard for a lot of consumers to get the financing.
You will have to trust us. We watch ourselves.
Incredible.
And as evidence of how the agencies like this brand new CFPB, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau,
it's brand new.
It is brand new. It was created in the wake of the Dodd-Frank
Right,
reform.
exactly.
So, as an example of how they've made it actually more difficult for the average consumer to get financing, is the fact that I'm a private money loan broker. I make hard money, private money loans, and the loans we're doing nowadays, in fact, 80% of our loan volume today is to consumers who've watched their purchase loan on a home that they intend to occupy fall out.
Right.
So we're doing almost every loan we're making today is to a consumer as a result of a conventional financing fallout, and the fallout's occurring because of how much more difficult it is to qualify, how many more questions they come back with, how much more paperwork you have to provide. The pendulum really has swung completely 180 degrees from 5 years ago.
So I kind of look at the two of you guys, and one guy is going, I hate these regulations, and the other guy's probably going, I love these regulations.
Well, in my heart, I hate them because I'm not a fan of government intervention in any form. I just don't. I just don't think they're competent enough to know what to do. I always think that the capital markets, the private sector, is much more competent at correcting. And in fact, we did fix ourselves after the financial meltdown. Notwithstanding what you might read in the papers, Dodd-Frank has done nothing to add value. Well, I shouldn't say nothing, but let's just say nowhere near as much as some of these horn-tooting politicians would lead you to believe.
I think that there's good elements of Dodd-Frank, and I think that protecting the consumer, like I said, I have no issue with that. The rigidity of these guidelines makes getting even the most highly qualified borrowers through the system a challenge in some cases, and I don't like seeing that. The other thing is that we are too quick to give credit to things like this, when really a huge component of both the downturn and the recovery has been the valuation of the collateral itself. So let's not forget that winning cures all ills, right? And as they say in baseball, what you have with stuff like this is when the market goes the wrong way, there are a lot of guilty parties. When it turns around, it's impossible to say that Dodd-Frank did that, and that the way they've cleaned up the banking industry is the reason why we're back on firmer footing. That's not what I've seen.
Well, there was an unnamed mortgage company that was taking advantage of seniors some years back.
Right.
But the solution that they came up with about you can't make them a loan unless you can show the ability to repay is a problem for people who say, listen, I'm cash poor, real estate rich.
I've got all this equity.
Yeah, I need to sell. Basically, I don't want to sell my house. In fact, that's a good example, right? Because you get some people who they are paying, because of interest rates being low, their mortgage payment is fairly low, and if they were to sell their house and move it into an apartment, they'd
A lot of
pay
implications
more.
to that, right.
So
Yeah, and again,
cost-effective
it
there.
comes back to my point about how when you put in guidelines that are this wide sweeping and this inflexible, there's a lot of fallout from that, and I don't think the CFPB will know, and they don't know now for some time what exactly that is and how that can be sort of scaled back to accommodate more buyers, responsibly, of course, but accommodate more borrowers that should be qualified for a loan, but that are falling out. You know, the example I always give is what's a better credit risk in their eyes? Is it the person with the 42.99% debt ratio at 80% loan to value? Or is it the person with the 43.1% debt ratio at 50% loan to value? You're a hard money guy. You know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Number two,
Right, so it's number two. But number two is not qualified for a QM, a qualified mortgage, because of the Dodd-Frank rigid guidelines of 43 hard and fast stop. You're not going to see lenders make loans beyond it.
So Rob, you're a mortgage broker for RPM Mortgage here in
Yep.
the Bay Area, one of the California's leading mortgage bankers. I read a quick blurb. Nationwide, mortgage loan applications are down, and I know that we tend to like to talk about the Bay Area, California markets here. What's your pipeline looking like? Is it have origination requests been going down in your market?
Well, what I've seen on the purchase side, it's been robust, but that requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of local realtor relationships. So I think that has insulated me a bit from what maybe the national industry standard has been on that. On the refinance side, what you don't see a whole lot of activity these days. A lot of the borrowers that have been left standing already have taken advantage of rates that were available last year,
Right.
and about a full percent lower than what's available now. Sometimes only a 0.5%, but you are able to pick some of them up on especially favorable market days, and that's what I've seen lately. That's been the tune for the second part of, the second quarter of 2014. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think my pipeline jives with the national stats, but applications have been down, and there are certainly a lot of loan officers who are feeling that.
Okay, tell you what, we're going to cut to our second commercial break, and when we come back, we got some very interesting emails for our co-hosts here. All right, theme is astronomy. What do we call a compact star-like celestial body with a power output greater than our entire galaxy? Okay? And it's believed to be the oldest and most distant objects ever detected. They are billions of light years from Earth and moving away from us at nearly 80% of the speed of light.
I feel like I should be doing the Dr. Evil
Yeah.
thing.
And
Billions.
Billions, yes. And a hint, the answer is not black holes.
Okay, got it.
Okay, because I figured a lot of people say, oh, it's a black hole. Okay, so here's the question again. First of all, the first three callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseresortandmarina.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What do we call a compact star-like celestial body with a power output greater than our entire galaxy? Believed to be the oldest and most distant objects ever detected, they are billions of light years from Earth and moving away from us at nearly 80% the speed of light. That's about how fast you drive, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah,
80%
only when I'm
speed
texting.
All right, that's it, Kyle. Oh, we're having too much fun here. The best of investing. We'll be right back. That was great. I love that. Without texting. Oh, you guys are too funny. Okay. Oh, Mr. Queen.
I've got a guess for the answers.
Oh, good. All right.
I'm not going to say anything then, because I think I might know it. It's because my father-in-law is the biggest astronomer guy.
You can look at me a little more, Robert, if you
Yeah,
like.
I'm just
It's
forgetting
hard.
to
If
do
you
it.
like, yeah.
It's funny because I'm the one who never.
No, you're actually doing it well. You're
now I'm
yeah.
starting to, because he's going like this. Well, just throw pencils at me. And I'll do it.
We'll make you a star yet.
I can just imagine talking and suddenly, ow! Whack! He's whacking me. Whack
You ever throw pencils at your ceilings?
Yeah,
I
something like
used
that.
to love that.
Oh, we used to take rubber bands and paper clips.
Oh,
that
there
was
you
scary.
go. Yeah.
We was dumb back then.
So that was I couldn't kind of call it up right at the time, but refinance share decrease. You're absolutely right, 50%, and the ARM share was unchanged again at 8%. Even that sounds high to me.
Kids ready?
Yep.
I have one question thing here. Get ready to email after we answer the question. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Vaughn and Rob Spinoza. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. What do we call a compact star-like celestial body with a power output greater than our entire galaxy, believed to be the oldest and most distant objects ever detected? They are billions of light years from Earth and moving away from us at nearly 80% of the speed of light. Mark thinks he has the answer because he's out of this world.
Well, and I just like this word. Is it a quark?
No, but you're close.
No.
It's a quasar.
Oh wow!
Very.
Oh, you know what?
That's
I think
pretty
a quark
good.
is like the tiny little object.
Yeah, that's
Is that what it is?
Subatomic particle.
Yeah, but
Subatomic.
wait,
Okay, I mixed up my
it still starts with a
Qs.
Q. It starts with a Q, though, right? Oh, okay. We'll give you no credit.
Quasar.
We'll give you no credit.
I was gonna say white dwarf.
White dwarf, no.
All right.
No, that was one of Snow White's favorite.
Red dwarf.
Okay, so
Sleepy.
before we get into email, next week we're going to have a special trivia contest. The winner's going to receive 2 tickets to All Outdoors California Whitewater Rafting. All right? Jump in and cool off this summer on a whitewater rafting adventure with All Outdoors Whitewater Rafting. Plenty of water for great rafting trips in 2014. Believe it or not, the 4 rivers are still running right now. The South Fork, the Middle Fork, American, and Tuolumne, and Cherry Creek. All within easy driving distance of the San Francisco Bay Area and Sacramento. All outdoors rafting trips. They offer trips that range from beginners to ultimate challenge of Class 5 whitewater and are great for families, groups, and singles. Trips last from 1 to 3 days. Book your summer rafting trip at aorafting.com or call 800-24-RAFTS. You guys ever done whitewater rafting?
I have not.
It's fun.
It's
fun.
scary. Yeah. But
I bet.
It's I love the South Fork, and the Middle Fork is definitely challenging. That one you get to wear helmets. Fun. Okay. Let's see. Email time here. Hold on. I'm sorry. Here's the trivia question for that. All right. Over 30% of this cosmetic is purchased by men. What? All right. Now here are the rules. No previous winners of the Best of Investing radio show. You got to email edward@bestofinvesting.com the answer by midnight tonight, and we'll announce the of all the winning entries. We'll randomly pick and announce the winner next week. Okay, email time. Mark, where are you finding your best loans?
Well, if you'd asked me that 2 years ago, and just again for the audience, I'm a broker for Pacific Private Money. We're a private money loan broker. It used to be called hard money, but I kind of prefer the private money term these days. And we do so because the industry's really changed a lot. I mean, we are regulated now. It used to be a Wild West type of lender of last resort 10, 15, 20 years ago. But over the pretty much since 2008, private money loan companies like Pacific Private Money have sprouted up to provide financing for a rather large and growing segment of the lending populace who no longer qualified for bank financing. Now, initially, most of the loans we were doing were to real estate investors who found they could no longer go to the bank and borrow money to buy a house that they were going to fix and flip. And so a lot of the foreclosure activity that went on in 2009, 10, 11, 12 was financed largely through private capital, through private money loan brokers like Pacific. Now, today, interestingly enough, here we are in the summer of 2014, and the fix and flip activity has decreased dramatically, in large part.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, in large part because there isn't as much foreclosure activity out there. It's mostly been snapped up. You've probably heard of some of these large hedge fund based organizations that have snapped up properties by the tens of thousands.
Well, that's what Warren Buffett said he'd love to do if he could figure out a way to manage it.
Right, exactly. And he said that over a year ago. So nowadays there's just really not, I mean, you can still find opportunities. You can always find opportunities to invest in real estate today, but it's just not as, the unit sales are down for investors. And quite frankly, there's more competition. There's actually more lenders out there like Pacific that have sprouted up over the last few years. So I'm finding that there's a lot more competition. So the answer to the question is, where are we finding our best loan deals? Really today, this has to go back to what we talked about in the last segment, is that escrows that are falling out conventionally, where the buyer still wants to buy that house, but now he no longer qualifies for bank financing, or the bank is not going to be able to close in time.
Right.
So, for example, I'm working on a deal right now where I got a call from a mortgage broker who said, I have a client who's putting 45% down and needs a 55% loan to purchase price loan, but she put a 20-day close on the purchase contract so that she could get
the property,
because there was
right.
competition to get this property. She had to go over asking about 15%. It's a San Francisco purchase, and she needs to close basically by mid next week.
Right, and you got the holiday in there,
right.
So it's actually less than 20 days.
So the mortgage broker tells me I can have her conventionally refied in 30 days, but I need you, Mark, to come in with a private money loan to close quickly so she can get this
right.
property. It's a great opportunity for her. So that's typical, and other examples of so-called bridge loans, bridge meaning a temporary loan that we've done for homeowners lately, have been maybe where the mortgage broker thought they were bank financeable, but the banks right now, as you know, Rob, oftentimes as they dig, they ask more questions and more questions and more questions, and where you initially thought they were pre-qualified to
right.
get
Now
a
you've
loan,
uncovered something.
now you've uncovered something that maybe, like for example, we did a loan for one person who is a self-employed business owner, has multiple business accounts, and the bank just got caught up with this issue of him having multiple accounts instead of one personal account where all the money was sitting, and that stalled his ability to close. And so we came in and made him a short-term loan to close.
One thing I have to disagree with you, though. You say that there's competition. There is no competition. You are the man.
That's a ringing endorsement.
Well, we do have a great reputation.
Yeah,
I
you
got to
do.
pat myself a little
Yeah.
on the back. We do have a great reputation. I've got a great staff.
You answer the phone.
We have about as close as to 100% delivery rate as you can achieve in this business, in terms of if someone calls us and tells a scenario over the phone, we can green light that relatively quickly, sometimes within a couple of hours. And once we've green lighted a deal, we've just never failed to deliver. We've got so many sources and resources for capital. We have our mortgage pool fund, and we've got individuals who also like to invest in trust deeds. We have so much capital looking to deploy that if we green light a loan, and we're pretty experienced at this, and we know the Bay Area really, really well, we can react quickly. And so we're good at operating sometimes within a 72-hour time period.
Now, for the listening audience, I know we've had a lot of listeners who have been with us for years and have heard this, but we're getting a lot of new listeners too. What kind of rates are you charging on average to your borrowers?
Between 8.9, call it 9%, and 10%. We usually price it at 8.9 to 9.9. That's typical private money pricing. Again, it's intended to be short term. It's not intended to be a 5-year loan or an alternative necessarily to bank financing. We're really there to be kind of the guy that comes in and helps you when there's a problem.
Right.
Or a stutter step. It's not intended to be long-term financing. So,
well, I'll put that in perspective too, because even our most accommodating programs on the conventional side, if you start going out of the realm of the QM stuff, that stuff starts pricing in the high 4s and low 5s.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if you're going out to private money and you're getting rid of the 30-day time window and all that other stuff, that's putting it right in there. I mean, it's not unreasonable.
It's a means to an end, and our qualification process it's night and day. Bank. It's really, we don't look at the same things, and qualifying can happen relatively quickly. And again, we're mostly looking at the capital. The
collateral.
Yep. And so, and since we don't typically go over 70% loan to value, we can usually feel pretty secure.
And you mentioned that you have a fund and individual investors. What kind of yield can those investors get?
So we're paying an annualized return of 8.5% on our mortgage pool fund now, and that's available to accredited investors anywhere in California. In fact, we can accept investors all over the U.S. An accredited investor is someone who has a net worth of $1 million or more, not including the equity in their home.
Right.
Now, that's a SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission definition. That's not our definition, but that's one of the qualification necessary to invest in the fund. But we've got over 50 investors in the fund to date, and producing 8.5% return, largely by making these short-term loans on well-secured properties with great borrowers. I mean, most of our borrowers have incredible credit scores.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you also have an income requirement for the accredited investor too.
So it's either or.
Either or, right.
Yeah, if you're making more than $200,000 a year as a single person, you're considered an accredited investor. Or if you have assets,
net worth,
net worth of more than $1 million.
Okay, we're going to cut to our third commercial final break. When we come back, we have an interesting question for Rob about real estate taxes and refinancing.
Right.
So I know a lot of people have that kind of question,
Yep.
so that'll be very good. Okay, here is the last astronomy question. If a massive star explodes, it may become very bright. What do we call one of these mass explosions? All right? Not a terrorist attack, by the way. The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseresortandmarina.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. If a massive star explodes, it may become very bright. What do we call one of these mass explosions? Make sure to include your name and your email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial. The best of investing. We'll be right back.
Is it Zenith?
A zenith?
Oh wow,
A supernova.
A supernova.
Oh, well,
Very good.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should have been a physicist.
What were you guys laughing at? I missed it. You guys were laughing.
I said you should have been a physicist.
No. Just before when I was.
Oh, I
don't
don't remember.
You guys laughing. I'm missing the joke. I'm missing it. So me and Mark are
That's
fortunate
really-
enough after this. Guess where we're going?
Don't know.
Las Vegas?
Fair?
We're going to the fair.
Yeah. My wife's gonna call me. I might head over there too.
Because I got a backstage pass to see Huey, baby.
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
Baby
wow.
or baby Huey.
I would love to see him at the fair.
Yeah.
That's he's great.
He's good. Yeah. He's good. It's funny. A lot of times, like these people, like if it was Steely Dan,
Yeah.
I would wear headphones. My headphones and listen. I can't stand Steely Dan. But Huey, I actually like his music.
I'm like that with Sticks. Man.
Get him on the sports show.
That's why I'm getting it.
I saw
He's
He's
gonna
a
be on the
sports
He's
guy.
a real sports guy. That's why I'm getting him on the sports
Stations
show.
where
Alright.
Styx did that whole album that had
Uh,
all that song. I thought
Yeah.
sailing
Yeah.
away.
I was never a Styx fan either,
Yeah.
but I liked that.
There's a couple of songs.
Was it Xanadu? Was that the name of the album?
No,
Oh,
no.
it started with an X, didn't it?
You're thinking of Olivia.
No, I know. I screwed that up. But Styx had an album that
Sail
was.
away.
Yeah, it had a.
Yeah, it was that one. You get a chance to give my
That's
contact
right.
information out.
I'll do that when we come in.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, this segment's gonna last 45 seconds.
Better be quick.
Done.
Can you answer an email question that fast?
Sure. If he can close in 72 hours, I can answer a question in 3 minutes or 45 seconds.
All right. Here we go.
Yep.
Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host. Last time, I'm Edward Brown, your host. Just last time for the show. My co-hosts, Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money and Rob Spinoza of RPM Mortgage. We cut to the third commercial break. We asked this trivia question. If a massive star explodes, it may become very bright. What do we call one of these mass explosions?
Supernova.
A supernova.
Chevy Nova.
A supernova. A supernova. That is correct. Now, before we get into Rob's Rob's email, excuse me. Mark, people were hanging on their seat going, how do we get a hold of this
Who
guy?
was that guy that was talking
Yeah.
last time? So at Pacific Private Money, you could reach us at 415-883-2150. If you're looking for a way to earn 8.5%, 8% or more on your savings, our website for the Pacific Private Money Fund is at pacificmoneyfund.com. That's pacificmoneyfund.com. Or again, call us 415-883-2150. We'll send you some, of course, no obligation information detailing how we do that.
Yep, very good. Okay, we have a email question here for Rob. and it is, if I continue to run as fast as you do, will I be as good looking as you?
Yeah.
Okay. Rob you're one of those.
Triathletes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Are you an ultra triathlete? Or just a
I'm an
regular
Ironman
one?
distance
An
triathlete. Yeah,
Ironman,
regular
there you
old
go.
garden variety Ironman variety.
A Robert Downey Jr. kind.
Okay.
Okay. Here's a trivia question for you. God, why do I keep saying that trivia question? It's an email
That's
question.
all right. I'll make a trivia question.
Okay.
Who is?
Who is? Yeah, this is Jeopardy. What is? Okay, will my property taxes go up if I refinance? I bet you get that question a lot.
I get it a lot. I've even had people tell me they held off on asking about refinancing even though they saw rates were lower because they thought their property taxes were going to go up. So, by and large, the answer is no. Your property taxes will not go up simply by refinancing. When you buy a home, you have a transfer of title, and that's what triggers the reassessment. So, for example, here in Marin, you've got someone who bought the house in 1960, and now their tax, they're paying $2,000 a year. If you were to go and buy that house from them for $1.5 million, your taxes would be a lot more than that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that happens because the title is transferring from the seller to the buyer. When you refinance, you're already on title, and you will, in the vast majority of cases, not see an increase in your property taxes. So you don't have to be afraid of that. There are a couple of things to keep in mind with property taxes, though, and when you have a refinance, if the area is being reassessed anyway, you may see a tax increase through that, but that's not directly tied to the refinance.
Okay, because that's my question. Let's say that you had a house that was worth, you purchased it in 2005 at the height of the market, let's say. So it drops. Now you've got your Prop 8 adjustment, so it's lower. And now, or let's say you want to get it lower.
You appeal.
And does the tax assessor say, by the way, if you refinanced lately, let me see the appraisal?
No. I have not seen that happen. Okay. The other thing is, though, but you bring up a really good point because I just got letters from our assessor here in Marin about the fact that they're now readjusting that back. One property went down, the other one went up. So that is something to be aware of. It's independent of the refinance, though. And
so they don't ask you that at all when you're trying to appeal real estate taxes. They don't ask, have you refinanced? Are you?
I have not appealed that. I've just gotten the notices with the trend in the area, so I'd have to research that for you. I don't know offhand on how that works.
Okay, because I guess in theory they could pull their own appraisal.
And that is a good point though, because we often encounter that the assessed value is very different than your appraised value. So if you went and got an appraisal on a property, it might be $750,000, and the assessor's office may have that property assessed at $430,000. So your taxes are based off of the assessed value, of course. So it's not a direct correlation. It's very hard to know one from the other.
I tell you, in Berkeley, it's nauseating because what they do is sometimes you'll look and you go, hey, that's great, man. They're giving me a really low base. But when you start adding all of the other stuff in, it's like, I don't care that you said my $1 million property is worth $100,000.
Right.
I'm paying property taxes as though it's worth $3 million when you add up everything.
Yeah, it's very interesting too because we talk about this, the property tax equation. I just got an article here, and it's talking about how property tax hikes. We don't really see hikes, but once you own the property here because of Prop 13. But I'm sure nationwide, if you have an increase in your property taxes, it could conceivably affect your ability to qualify for a loan.
Yeah,
because again,
that's important.
Yeah, we were just talking about the hard and fast rules from Dodd-Frank, and if your property taxes are going up, that's happening beyond your control, but it is happening to something that is that controls you, and that's your qualification. So that's something to be aware of. I also think it's worth mentioning for first-time home buyers that may be listening. When you rent a property, obviously you're just paying your rent, but when you purchase a home, you've got your principal and interest on your mortgage payment and your property taxes.
And insurance.
And insurance. And there's two ways to pay property taxes and insurance. You can either pay them with your mortgage payment, you can escrow them, so they'll take 1/12 of that and add it to your payment, or you can pay them on your own here in California. So just be aware of that when you're first.
Some lenders require it, don't they?
Well, FHA loans require it, and if your loan to value exceeds 89.99%, so if you basically have
mortgage insurance.
Well, you'd have mortgage insurance, but they would also, many lenders here in California, once your LTV, your loan to value is 90%, then they require impounds. because it's technically a riskier loan for
Sure.
the lender, and they want to know they have control over your property tax payment, because that would become a lien on your title that would supersede the mortgage lender's
If I were
lien.
them, I would do the
Right,
same thing.
right.
Mark, do you ever do that?
Well,
Inbound, real
We're
estate?
required to now on all first position loans.
Really?
For consumer purpose, yeah, we're actually now required to include payments that are PITI, principal,
Wow, I
interest,
didn't know that.
taxes, and insurance. So that's one of the new Dodd-Frank requirements that.
Wow.
You're just like the bank.
Well, you know,
Just like the bank, yeah, so we don't like to do it.
neither does your concern.
Yeah, but actually, I mean, you don't like it because it's administrative hassle, maybe. But
Exactly.
but the thing is, but it does actually make it a little bit safer because then you know for sure the taxes
Tax
are
are
being
being
paid.
paid, right? And
Yeah,
you know the
absolutely.
home's insured, which is not insignificant either. I mean, you know, in the case that
Yeah.
a homeowner would drop the insurance.
Well, yeah, but usually what happens in that case, if the homeowner drops the insurance, what ends up happening is the lender gives them time
And
to
then force
to
place
do it. Yeah, exactly. That's usually a little more expensive. So that gets you right. In fact,
That's right.
I
Well, you know what's funny about this too, because I used to do loans in all 50 states when I worked for Flagstar Bank. We could originate throughout the country. Most of the country, it is commonplace to have an escrow account. So outside of California, most people pay property or principal, interest, taxes, and insurance every month. Here in California, just the opposite. Most people do not.
because we're more responsible here in California.
Of course. and
Not
better
flashing.
and better looking.
That's right. So getting back, if you want to be as good looking as Rob, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll give you my contact information. I work for the Mill Valley branch of RPM Mortgage, located on Redwood Highway. 415-367-5959 is my number. And you can find us at rpm-mtg.com / Mill Valley. And that's, yeah. And the best of investing.
There you
My
go.
bio is there, and I'm a little rusty. I haven't been on the show. But yeah, my bio's on the Best of Investing website.
You
Too.
can go
Pleasure.
there and you can see how good looking he is.
Pleasure to be here, even at the salary you're paying.
So, hey, it's above my pay grade. All right, guys. Hey, before we get into our thoughts for the day, you got 45 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Well, just, talking about the PITI, it's interesting that one of the reasons why Dodd-Frank's, among all the laws they passed, was to say now as a lender you have to collect a payment for taxes and insurance in addition to principal and interest, is they included that under their anti-predatory lending laws. In other words, they consider an interest-only loan to be predatory lending. Now, that being said, we still do interest-only loans on investment properties and on short-term bridge loans. So again, it just depends on the type of loan property it is.
Okay, guys, here's our thoughts for the day. Get this. In the 1980s, Pablo Escobar's Medellin cartel was spending $2,500 a month on rubber bands just to hold their
Oh, the
cash.
cash.
Isn't that amazing? Okay, and
They
yeah,
expense that, I guess.
I was just going to say, I wonder if it was
You
tax
wrote that
deductible.
off.
Probably if you're claiming the income. Okay, ordinary and necessary. Yeah, that's
Wow.
necessary
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, and when the mummy of Ramses II was sent to France in the mid-1970s, it was issued a passport. Ramses' occupation? King. Deceased. All right, tune in next
Cool.
week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Don't do that. Thanks for listening on behalf of our team.
Now that we have your attention.
Yes, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.